haunted hotel room. Alright, so this story comes from a guy named John who had a really creepy experience at a hotel. John wasn't really into ghost stories or anything like that, but after what happened to him, he couldn't help but share it. He figured maybe someone out there might believe him. John was on a business trip and had to stay overnight in a small town. The company he worked for booked him a room at this old hotel that had been around for decades. It was the only hotel in town, so he didn't have much choice. The place looked nice enough from the outside, with an old-fashioned charm, but inside, it was a different story. The lobby was dimly lit, and the furniture looked like it hadn't been changed in years. When John checked in, the receptionist gave him a key to room 308. She had this weird look on her face, almost like she was worried. But John didn't think much of it at the time. He grabbed his suitcase and headed to the elevator. The ride up was slow, and the elevator creaked and groaned the whole way. When he got to his room, he immediately noticed something was off. The air felt heavy, and there was this strange smell, like old wood and something rotten. He tried to ignore it, thinking it was just an old building, and went about unpacking his things. The room itself was pretty standard: a bed, a desk, a TV, and a small bathroom. But there was something about the room that made John uneasy. He couldn't quite put his finger on it. Maybe it was the old, faded wallpaper, or the way the shadows seemed to move in the corners. John tried to shake off the feeling and decided to take a shower. As he was in the bathroom, he thought he heard footsteps outside the door. He paused and listened, but the sound stopped. Figuring it was just his imagination, he finished his shower and got dressed. Later that evening, John was lying in bed, watching TV. The strange feeling hadn't gone away, but he tried to ignore it. Just as he was starting to relax, the TV suddenly turned off by itself. John sat up, a chill running down his spine. He grabbed the remote and turned it back on, but it wouldn't work. Frustrated, he got up and tried to fix it, but nothing seemed to help. That's when he heard it again. The footsteps. This time, they were louder and closer. John froze, listening intently. The footsteps seemed to be coming from right outside his door. He slowly walked over and peered through the peephole, but there was no one there. He opened the door, his heart pounding, but the hallway was empty. Feeling a bit freaked out, John decided to call it a night and go to bed. He turned off the lights and got under the covers, but sleep wouldn't come. Every little noise made him jump, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone. Around 3 a.m., John was finally starting to drift off when he heard a whisper. It was faint, but definitely a whisper, and it sounded like it was coming from the corner of the room. John's eyes snapped open, and he stared into the darkness, trying to see if someone was there. Suddenly, the room went ice cold, and John felt a presence near him. He wanted to move, to run, but he was paralyzed with fear. The whispering grew louder, and John could make out a few words. "Get out, leave." That was enough for him. He jumped out of bed, grabbed his suitcase, and bolted out of the room. He didn't care about checking out. He just wanted to get out of there. He ran down the stairs and out the front door, not stopping until he was in his car with the doors locked. The next day, John called the hotel to explain why he left so suddenly. The receptionist didn't seem surprised. She told him that room 308 had a history. Years ago, a guest had died in that room under mysterious circumstances, and ever since, strange things had been happening. People reported hearing whispers, feeling cold spots, and seeing shadows. Some guests even claimed to have seen the ghost of the man who died. John couldn't believe what he was hearing. He was a skeptic, but after his experience, he wasn't so sure anymore. He swore he'd never go back to that hotel, and he warns anyone who will listen to stay far away from room 308. Some things are better left undisturbed. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.